Hey, so we have been talking about how you can coach your students, your children in whatever activity you're involved in with them, whether it's a learning experience, a structured lesson plan in a classroom, or if you're just playing and having fun, or you're in a homeschool setting, doesn't matter the setting. We are going to get into the next part of how do you arouse curiosity. So now what we're going to do is look at another way that you can arouse children's curiosity, and that's it's in the pedagogy, in the teaching circles, it's called inquiry based learning. Hey, this is Moni Singh, an engineer, a creator, a mother, and a lifelong learner. Many people know me as Miss STEM, the founder of the STEM for Kids movement. I created this channel to help you raise your children, your students, for success in this ever transforming world laced with increasing digital influence. You watch these videos because you know that there's something more inside your kids. They got the Elon Musk type of talent hidden inside them. If you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button. And I share regularly, and as a subscriber, you have access to the practical tips, tools, and resources to raise resilient creators. Basically, what that means is asking a lot of questions. You know how oftentimes when we imagine a school classroom, we are thinking more about providing answers, right? But this is about asking questions, because what we want to do is really get the children thinking about what they already know, trying to bring that to the surface. And then once they bring what they know already to the surface, that's when you start putting it, piecing in, other new piece of information, so that you're creating new correct connections, new neural pathways in the brain, new connections, and that way the learning sticks, right? So the more connected the information is sitting in the brain, the more it sticks, right? So that's what we're trying to accomplish. And the key part of this method is that you're trying to get the children to remember what they already know about a topic, and the way you do that is by asking relevant questions. And I'll help you with what kind of questions and how do you go about doing that. Okay, so that's going to be the focus for today. So the so we talked about the goal is to encourage them to think about what they already know, to extract that, and then interlace it with new knowledge and ideas, right? And that allows for deeper learning as they're able to connect to what they may already know. So if you think back to your own school days or college days, a one-sided delivery, right? If there was a lecture being given to you by a teacher, doesn't that get too boring? Now imagine that if you're working with those teeny tiny kids, right? 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10, 12. Can you imagine them just sitting there listening to a lecture? Hold on. There seems to be a lot of things wrong in that scene, don't you think so? If your children in ages of 5 to 14 are like the majority that we have worked with over a decade, they would not sit for that long just listening. And if they are, if they're just sitting and listening, I don't know how that learning is really happening. Okay, so specifically, because remember, our goal is to inspire creativity, and just having them sit down and listen, that will be the perfect recipe for the exact opposite. You're basically taking them towards the path of failure, to boredom, and all those emotions, the negative emotions that actually do not work well with creativity. You want a very open mind when you think about, being in a creative mindset. And with that kind of a one-sided delivery, do you hear the words boring, boring, boring all around you? The words, like all the letters BORING, kind of just floating all around you, right? That's it. You get it. That doesn't work. It won't work. You want to make it very engaging for the children. Again, it doesn't matter what setting you are in, right? But I mean, if you have the preteens or the teenagers, you know how they start rolling their eyes, right? If you are giving them too much of a lecture. So the one of the best ways to engage is to ask questions, and asking a lot of questions. Why? Because it engages their brain and makes learning an active process. And you want your children to be an active participant in the learning process. So um, I want to talk about this Bloom's taxonomy. I don't know if you heard about it. It's like a pyramid. It was put together by Benjamin Bloom, who chaired a committee of educators that devised this taxonomy. They had a lot of, they did a series of conferences in the 1950s. And it was a taxonomy on cognitive abilities. It was first published in the 1950s and it was revised in 2001. And to this day, Bloom's taxonomy is used in curriculum designing, teaching, learning, and assessing. And it provides a hierarchy of cognitive skills. So, very simplistically, basically provides a hierarchy of thinking, basically thinking skills, right? So, at the very bottom, you have the very basic thinking, like remembering facts. And then as you go up, it's the higher order of thinking, like evaluating and creating at the very top of that pyramid. Now, all the levels have a significance. Our goal, or your goal through this coaching, is to encourage and enable children to think at the higher levels of apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, right? That's where we are trying to get the children's mind to be at. Now, well-placed questions create curiosity, which is a great enabler for learning, and it enables children to climb up and down that taxonomy, the Bloom's taxonomy I just talked about. So now, one of the first questions that you probably have in your own mind is, okay, so I get it, but what questions? I mean, how do I apply that, right? How do I apply it in a consistent manner in whatever coaching situation I find myself in? And that's a great question, and I'm going to help you with that right now. So, for example, when you are introducing a new topic, you can always try and ask questions like things that connect that learning with something that the child may already know. So, what have you heard about this topic? What do you know about this? Right. So, for example, hey, we're going to talk about civil engineering. What do you know about engineering? Do you know what civil engineers do? Do you know what kind of products or creations? I mean, what do they make? Have you seen something? Have you seen something that they made? What does what does it remind you of? Again, there's no right or wrong answer in this situation. You are just trying to get the children to be thinking actively. Now, when you do these kinds of questioning, you might get answers like, "Oh, yeah, my uncle is a civil engineer, and my mom was telling me that," or "I know that that civil engineers make bridges." So again, you are just trying to get that level of at least that level of remembrance coming to the surface in your children's brains that they're making some connection. Hey, now that you have watched this or heard what I just shared, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And also, depending on which platform you're on, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating or like and comment. And also share this resource with your friends and relatives so that they can also get their hands on all this valuable information that I'm sharing. Now, one more thing. I am giving away my 7 C's blueprint for raising successful children. So if you have not gotten a copy yet, go ahead and do that right away. You can go to www.raisingresilientcreators.com. The link is down in the description. So go ahead, click on it and get that resource. It's a very valuable resource that can help you with your priority of getting your children on the pathway towards success. So with that, again, subscribe to the channel and go ahead and get that resource right away.